Good afternoon and happy Sunday, everybody. This is completely off schedule. I was just finishing up some stuff from this weekend, and I figured I'd spend some time with all of y'all and have some fun and go watch some old videos. Let's see who's in the chat. Uh, hold on a second here. Let me scroll up here. And Scott gets the first people in the chat award. Outlaw, hello. Hey Johnny, what's going on? My favorite prepper, what's up? From the East Coast, my mother Spark, hello. By the way, I got a kick out of you and Marco the other day. That was just hysterical. um I'm surprised that chat behaved because they were getting snarky too. Hey Coffee, what's going on? Hold on, I lost the chat now. Wolfang, I think I missed someone here. Coffee, hello. And I think I got everyone. Good. Yeah, well, definitely. Because it was pretty last week. I looked at some of my videos from last week and I'm like, man, I had really good content, but I sounded awful. Um, it kind of kept me moving though. I think it kind of helped me therapeutically through feeling as bad as I did. I can absolutely see if you don't take care of yourself, it just brings back the health prep. If you know you don't, even if you have a chronic illness, right, you can't help it, but if you manage it the best you can, you eat right, you try to exercise, do the right things. Hey Magic, um hey, what's going on Pilgrim? But you guys do love snarky chat. But you get sick during an SHTF and there's no hospital, nature's gonna have to fix you. And the healthier you are, the better shape you are, your blood pressure, whatever it is, um, definitely is an advantage. You're putting the percentages in your favor, right? Nothing's perfect. We could do all these preps and have like flying spiders attack all of us, right? And who the hell was ready for that? But you at least, you stack the odds in your favor. And really, this is what it's about, right? Um, you try to smush the that sounds terrible. Actually, the only smush I have here is Luna's passed out under me. She likes to sleep in my office because it's like her own little cave. Um, yeah. Wolfgang, I'll tell you what. When my cat brought me that damn tarantula, and I mean, I know there's spiders in West Texas, but that thing, had it been alive, its legs and all, had he been walking around, would have been like that. But he was all dead and crunched up. So, Marco, what's going on? Spiders are cool. I just don't want like the tarantula in my house. Also, apparently everything's camouflaged here. So the tarantula was like a gray slash black. He had like this little, almost like a desert camo. It was really beautiful. And then I found the scorpion hanging out in the kitchen when we first moved in. He was about that big. Beautiful desert camo in him. I'm like, you guys are perfect for this environment, but not in my kitchen. That's not your environment. So he went out to the field. So, uh, hey, what's going on? Yeah, pet tarantula. That's a good way to clear some people out of your room. Joe, I just did another video, man, and I did it at the request of another viewer and a family member, but it's got your name written all over it. I'm doing a 101 on a classic firearm. I got to finish editing it because it's scheduled a little ways out, so I'm gonna plan with it. But I think you'll enjoy it. It's history lesson slash instructional, and of course, the minute I put the subject matter up, YouTube was like, it started battling me, so I have to edit it a little more. But yeah, so true story. My kids grew up in South Louisiana before we moved to Houston. And the kids in Louisiana are tough. The Cajun kids, and you get a little Spanish girl thrown in there, and they got a big mouth too. And right, they were rough with each other. So my daughter comes to Texas, and a little girl was picking on her. So I get a, I told my daughter, well, pick on her back. I didn't know what the hell to do. She was like 6 years old, 7 years old. Anyway, I get a call from the teacher. She's like, yeah, you have to come get your daughter. She got in trouble. I'm like, uh-oh. Well, apparently, the little girl was picking on my daughter, and my daughter decided uh, to be mischievous. And I'm like, "What did you do? Did you hit her?" "No, sir." "Did you start a fight?" "No." "Did you say bad words?" "Mm-mm." "Well, why'd you get in trouble?" She goes, "You know those frogs in Louisiana?" "Yeah, the little pee-pee frogs, right? Like the dogs grab them, they pee the dog, and the dog gets a foamy mouth." "Hmm." So I'm like, "What about them?" She said, "I grabbed the little girl, I put two down her shirt, and they pee-peed her shirt, and then she cried. Then I got in trouble." They don't like that here in Texas. To this day, I will sometimes visit my child, and I will go, and this is a young woman now, and I will go and bring a lizard or a frog and go, here you go. Dun, dun. She's like, "Seriously, Dad?" She just gave me a frog. Now I have to go put it in my yard. So um yeah, for real though. Yeah, no. Oh, you no, one of those got me in the leg. Oh God, that hurt like holy hell, and it was not bueno. Yes, that's how we used to find them on drilling rigs. They put a black light, and we would just kind of punt them into the field because I know they serve a purpose, just not in our pickup trucks. Nobody wants that. But yeah, so apparently you throw little kids throw pee-pee frogs on other kids, and they run away crying. So um, she also brought Tabasco, the little bottles, as a sample of places she'd been. And one of the teenagers decided to do a Tabasco shot who never ate spice, and he about damn near died. So first time I saw him, he was running across the floor at me. Oh yeah, that would clear you out quick. Wolf spiders are big. Well, they can get big. The banana spiders on the trees, God, they're huge. They bite you and it hurts, but you're not going to get poison or anything like a tarantula. They're just scary looking. But I guess if you see the spider and you're like, oh, there he is on the wall, and you go to it, okay, fine. When it just goes thump and they just pop out on your face, that's not cool for sure. But I don't do spiders. I smash them when they get close. Not everyone can, man. Hey, there's certain things like I love scorpions. I think they're cool. I do not want the scorpion. I'll play with snakes. My daughter had a boa and she had a little python looking thing, and I'd play with the snakes. I love them. My wife was like, peace out. And she was in another room, like nobody wanted the snake. Hey, Ark, spiders, yum. Well, I guess technically you could eat spider, but Marco was in here somewhere. There he is. What's going on? Sorry, guys. I got a little bit of congestion today. Uh, yeah. Now, to be fair, spiders are very important, just not in my kitchen. They can be important in their place, and I'll be important in mine. I don't mind. I had a real nice garden in Houston because it rained all the time. It was all green, and I had big old spiders would hang out in the rose bushes. I didn't care because they killed stuff for me. But in the kitchen, not so much. That's a party foul. Man, that would be bad. And then you'd have holes in the wall. That just sheetrock would be required. I saw that, Watchman. I was on the fence. Was that doctored, or did those things seize up and keel over and just for a minute I thought it was bats. I was like, fool, those are bats. And then when he zoomed in, the birds were like, um, I don't know if they got zapped. They couldn't get zapped because they were on a single power line. They weren't grounded. Okay. You get zapped by the power line because you touch the line and you touch like the pole, and then you ground the electricity. If they were just sitting there, I don't know. I saw that video. I saw photos too, and that freaks me out because there's shit dying all over that area. But yeah, no, the Watchman's like, yeah, no, you can keep the spiders. So, hey, prepping my faith. Hello. So, I wanted to have a little fun today because I was in a movie watching mood today. While I was doing all my stuff, I'm been reseasoning a lot of my cast iron because I use it a lot, and it was starting to lose the seasoning. I was starting to battle it when I cooked. So I took a scrubbing brush to them. I put Dawn, cleaned them real good. They still had some coating on them. I put Crisco on them and kind of gave them a rub, and I into the oven at 400 for a couple of hours, and I turned it off. And now I got a nice nice sheen on the my kamal and my one of my little skillets, and I got the big griddle in there now doing the same thing. So yes, birds will die first. Um, my daughter had rescued a sun conure, beautiful little parrot, and they sprayed the apartment next door because the people they literally were pigs. Like I met them, they were not impressive, and they sprayed next door and didn't tell my daughter, and the fumes went through the wall, killed the bird. She came home and he was killed over, and she was pissed. You know, most girls would be like, "Oh, boo-hoo, my bird." No, she went and she was fuckity fuck with the manager about it. um, yeah, my kids are don't lack opinion, which I guess is a good thing because at least in this world they can survive. But um, yeah, she was not happy. Hey, mom, survival. Good to see you. I'm glad you're online. It's been a while since we've chatted. Uh, wait, hold on. I've lost chat. Exploding blackbird. Yuck. The pale horse green agenda. Oh yeah, Joe. There's an art to it. When I figured it out, I love it. Like I don't even use my grill outside. I do my meats almost exclusively on cast iron. But it's I had to take hours of reading up on how to do it and then actually burning shit. I ruined some food before I finally figured out, okay, this is how I do it. And then it worked out well. But today I wanted to do something fun. I've been watching all sorts of cool movies and I rewatched Greenland with what's that guy's name? He's in Olympus Has Fallen, Gerard Butler. And it was a good it's a fun movie, right? It's fictional, but it got me thinking about the way people act. So I was like, let's pull up a few old movies and much to my painful lesson last time I tried to do this, I played too long and I didn't commentary on it and I wound up getting busted. So and YouTube went and they ran me off. So I'm gonna try this now, but I'm only doing portions and I'm gonna stay on in the corner and we're gonna kind of talk through it. So I got three. I guess we'll start. Let's see, which one shall we start with? Because let me make sure I got the right scene here. Uh, because otherwise, it's not going to make quite as much sense. Oh, okay. I just screwed something up here. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to get rid of a commercial here before I share the screen. Okay, so for those of you who may not have seen it before, yes, it is for commentary and for educational purposes. Thank you. Yes. And I will put that up there because my mother's Spark has ninja skills today, and she's keeping me between the buoys. So let's see. I should be able to share a. Okay, so this one is from the movie Threads. Let me know if you can see that screen because I only have one monitor in front of me. Okay, let's see. Let's take down the four. Let's take down both sides. True. That's how you collapse the Citadel is from both ends. This scene is families evacuating, so we're going to kind of roll through this a little bit. Now, when Berlin was split, right, it was still the Soviet Union, but you heard what he said. They're giving safe passage to the garrisons in Berlin, the NATO side garrisons, to leave. So, but that family looking for the dog, like, you start thinking if you evac, you have to take your pets, right? So that's something I never, I think of, and a large part because we have the corgos, the potatoes. She's snoring, by the way, it's hysterical. Um, but also because my daughter's a veterinary scientist, my son deals with canines, so that's in the back of our mind. But do you guys? Is that something you're prepping for? And that's something to think about because you don't want to leave your German Shepherd behind or your corgis or whatever critter. But if you have a pet snake, comment, pause. Yeah, no, yeah, sorry about that. So I'm gonna start it again, and my dog has her own bag. See, yeah, so something to think about. I'm gonna keep playing. I think I got the right scene.
Broadway. No? When? Yes, I see.
Now, that's something else to think about. You know, we look for stuff like too many military aircraft when it's not common in our area, right? Too many well, hold on a second here, Les. Actually, that one, if I can get my daughter online, their clinic in Houston, because she had friends in different clinics, the number of animals that were abandoned prior to Harvey, she said that I can't even, she had cops coming in with puppies. They're like, we found a family. They're like, someone literally was leaving town. They opened the door, left a basket of puppies on the side of the road, and kept driving. And the family behind them was like, oh my God, they're puppies. So they actually stopped and found a cop. And they're like, somebody abandoned these dogs over there. The cop kind of witnessed it, but the person was gone and he was on foot. So he called another guy who called someone else, and somehow they got it to the clinic. She said they were beautiful, you know, maybe 8 weeks old, about ready to be adopted. And they just, uh, you know, it just left them there. So yeah, you gotta, and that's another thing. Some of the big ones did become packs, and that's also dangerous. Um, they do. It agitates me. No, if the dog cannot protect or at least keep you alert to dangers, if they're just a stupid thing, yeah, they're a pain. Yeah, and it's a tough choice because your son may want your dog. Um, but again, it's something we need to have in the back of our minds. Like, hey, if we uh, if we have to evacuate, um, oh,
Now, this isn't scientific,
what are
but
we
I did a
going to
poll
do
around New York.
as far as getting the your
How many
animals out or
U.S. music?
dealing with them? Sorry about that. I was trying to jump forward and it took off on me. Let me my kids. No, and again, we have to you have to kind of, dog will bark and give up your position, possibly, but the dog can also, oh, sorry, I just clicked on the wrong one. Somebody's put something, I lost the chat again, guys, sorry. Maybe not, because it's also a benefit in that instinctively a lot of people are afraid of dogs, especially if they sound large. So they may not want, there goes my light, they may not want to go and engage a large canine because of fear of injury. Because I get bit up by a dog, even if I kill it, now I'm in an SHTF and I'm injured, and that's something to think about. So yeah, absolutely. And it's something to think about. Hey, Dominic, welcome, my kids. So no, there are no easy answers, and you know, each of us has to. Premium worth the $15, Pete. Yeah, wait, premium. Oh, for the stupid YouTube. Yeah, you know, I keep saying I'm gonna do it, and then I just forget. And it's one of those things. I'm like, eventually, I'm gonna do it after months of agitating myself in the middle of live streams. Um, I'm gonna continue with Threads, and I encourage all of you to go online. It's actually, the whole movie's free on YouTube. As Joe pointed out, you get commercials if you don't have premium, but I would watch this movie. It gets very dark, and so you may not want to have little kids watching it because they may freak out. Teenagers may want to see it. Yeah, and absolutely, right. Everyone's in a different situation, right? Um, there are multiple places here in Texas that I can go if I had to absolutely bug out here, most of whom have enough property to accommodate my pets, or I can accommodate their canines. And once the packs sniff and argue and kind of settle down, um, it's going to we have options. You may not. You may have elderly folks. You may have a dog that is older or maybe isn't able to sustain heat or cold, if it's not a robust animal. And again, every situation is different. So kids should see it to the end. Yeah, it depends on your kid. I guess, when a lot of us grew up, we were a little bit more robust. We could watch that and be like, "Oh, that sucked," but we didn't go crying and hiding in the corner. But I lost track of the chat, guys, so I'm kind of jumping in. Anyway, I'm going to show this scene because I think this one's relevant too. This is another family trying to escape the city, and this one I've actually experienced myself, not nuclear attack, but in another scenario. So let's share that.
There's growing evidence overnight from scientists and observers in many countries that there have been 2 nuclear explosions in the Middle East.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. We decided we never evacuated for a hurricane. We evacuated for Rita, which ironically turned and went a completely different direction, and got caught in traffic coming out of Houston. That's that hurricane that buses were catching fire. It was a real fiasco. And what I found interesting was the highways were packed, but I did a lot of driving in the city, and I knew there were 2 or 3 4-lane kind of like avenues that you could go across Houston, north, south, east, west. And we went on those, and other than traffic lights and an occasional police car, there was no one on the side roads. We didn't hit traffic until we got to the outskirts of the city. We hit the farms, and then you kind of all get funneled onto the highway, and that's where we hit traffic. I was able to make a good 60 miles before I hit traffic. I wasn't going fast, right? I had to go at whatever the speed limit was. But there were people running out of gas on the highway. So this is a good example. What you saw there, the cops like, look, you can't go there. Try this other route. Have you plotted alternative routes? Yeah, actually, hold on. Mom survived. We'll just put it there. Yeah, wander around. Well, Magic, you and I are not far apart, my friend. It's one of those things you should know. And while things are not terrible, there's no emergency, you're not having to flee, take the time to drive around your neighborhood, take some back roads. I mean, don't get lost and get mugged or anything. Um, but take the time to learn the back roads, try some of the country roads, just see where they pop out. I know for a fact, like in my office building, when we got the new offices, I'd never been in the building before. So after I kind of figured out where the floor was where I was supposed to sit, I went down the emergency exit by the elevators just to see where I popped out. That's when I realized the emergency stairwell in this old building does not have the battery powered lights for an emergency. So if the power goes out, people will be falling down that damn toilet of a stairwell. Went down the back stairwell and it pops out in a completely different corner of the building, and I had to figure out where the exit of the building was. So a lot of my colleagues, I'll tell them, hey, have you even gone out the back door? And they're like, no, why? Well, what if there's a fire? Some dude comes in here and starts shooting people. I'm going out the other door. You don't want to get stuck in a broom closet with, a crazy person, and it just doesn't compute to them. By the same token, when you're driving around, you always typically take the same route to Walmart or to Sam's or to Costco. Try a different route. try a different way of getting there, see if there's other options to get where you want to go. That saved us a lot of pain on that evacuation. Unfortunately, then I wound up hung up in the traffic on the other side. Hey, Kentucky Survival, welcome. There's someone else jumped in here. Yeah, no kidding. That's actually not a bad idea. I've actually seen some options for folding bikes. I haven't really dug into them, but it basically is like a little mountain bike. It's not really fancy, but you pull two pins and the hinges has like titanium pins and it folds over and it would fit flat in a pickup truck. So you could probably, if you have that rolling cover, you could throw it in there. Hey, Mad Shad. See, in coffee, even if you can't see, because you'd have to go through the city, which would be awful, right? Because you got to go through Brooklyn and Queens to get to the bridges. But you could also take the ferry and hit Rhode Island or Connecticut. But then you'd have to go out toward Greensport or Montauk and Suffolk County, way out in Nassau County, and try and cut across there. So, you know. Oh, see, that's cool. You guys should do a video on that. That would be muy bueno. Suitcase scooters. Actually, I saw one that's a powered scooter, like what the kids use, but it's a little bigger and it has a 300-pound capacity, which for most grown men and women with your backpack, you're nowhere near 300. But you could get on that thing and it goes like 15 miles an hour. And I'm like, well, if you bring a little solar panel, if you get stuck somewhere, you hide it and you plug it in and charge it while you're hiding and waiting for it to power up, and then you're back on. So, yeah, look at these weird options for transport. That was there it is, electric razor scooter. I saw a different brand, but yeah. Oh no. All right. If one of the mods can, oh well, that might be a challenge. Prepping by faith. If you want to, what do you call, post in your community tab, I'll share it on mine. Tag me in it so I see it and everyone can watch it. Hey, Red, what's going on? So let me see. There was one more little piece I wanted to show here. Oh, here. So this is something else that we saw happen during the Rona. And they just had in this movie, you saw that thing where it says subversive will be confined. As long as it's a shirt pocket, Joe. Oh, that's bad. I saw Kentucky's comment, but it's gone now. So it's this is something we all need to consider. Is uh-oh, what happened? Oh no. What? Oh no. Well, hell's bells. So too many facts for the tube. Maybe. I wonder what that was about. I guess it might have been I was streaming something they didn't want me to stream. Putin shut you down. Uh, and I thought, because I mean, we need to watch the video so we can talk about it. So I don't know what they're fussing about. But in any case, that brings up a good point, is the movie copyright. Okay. It brings up a point about people protesting. People will get agitated at the government. And where do your constitutional right ends? We saw people basically saying, well, if you don't get a magic potion or whatever juice, or you don't wear this thing on your face, or you don't wear the thing on your face, you should be, it might have been the violence, although it's actually fictitious violence, so who knows. But it brings up a good point. They bring up a good point in that movie that, you know, civil rights will go away depending on the local jurisdiction and the situation. So, you know, this is something all of us have to keep in the back of our minds. You saw the protester, he was out there and he's like, this is a peaceful demonstration. And the cops took him away anyway. So, right. So, again, you never know how people will be, and it'll be interesting, because you'll also have different law enforcement people will be doing different things. So I was gonna show another video, and I'm kind of concerned I'm gonna get busted for that, but maybe I can. Let me see if I can finagle this thing real quick, and give me just a second here. All right, so I'm gonna try this again and see if I get kicked off. The juice is the abuse. See, and again, if someone thought it was a good idea for them, that's fine. But all of a sudden, an experimental thing became mandatory. But what was worse is there was a segment of society saying if you don't obey what our leaders are telling you, then you should be hurt. You should be punished. I'll be honest with you. When I went to the Holocaust Museum, it talked about, and I got still got to make that video. I just have a lot of footage from there, and I can't put everything because they don't want me to. So I kind of asked, what can I show? You know, you had the victims, you had the general public who did nothing, and you had upstanders, people who tried to do the right thing, often wound up getting thrown into the camps with everyone else. But then you had the collaborators, and the amount of collaboration that happened during World War II. It blew my mind. There was a map, you know, we all think of the Holocaust, the 6 big or 7 big concentration camps. Um, but folks don't realize there were over 200 smaller facilities that were processing whoever, gypsies, Jews, black, white, Catholic, whatever you were, if you were not compliant. And the majority of these smaller camps, most of the people who wound up in these holding facilities, who ultimately they may have just gotten shot right where they were turned in by neighbors, by the collaborators, and hence when the Nazis got run out of a lot of these countries and the resistance took power, there was a lot of retribution. Um, so you know, it's a deep thing to think about, but you know, these are the kind of things. It's like, what could happen? So basically, uh, so yeah, I'm hearing all sorts of stuff. It's it's weird. So I'm gonna try one more, and this is be a short clip. So I'm gonna see, make sure I don't screw it up here real quick. All right. You guys will probably recognize this movie. I'm gonna just this is just a short segment of it.
Does it live in the jungle? Oh.
And for this particular clip, we're gonna look at how things break down very quickly in an emergency, a fictitious emergency, of course.
People keep it in pens all its life and harvest it for meat.
Is it an animal you'd have for a pet?
Yes.
Is it a cat?
Yes. Okay, now we have another one.
You totally got one.
Why are there so many? It's like 3 in the last 5 minutes.
What's going on? Health
Now, it's interesting to note that one of the signs, aside from the weird traffic for no reason, the helicopters, the aircraft, um, a lot of those other smaller things we take for granted, and all of a sudden you see way too many police cars, way too many helicopters. That could be a lead-off sign. We'll keep playing this real quick. I'm just, for your all information, I'm interrupting the video a little more than I wanted to so that I don't get scolded by the tube. So
Can we try BBC?
Not British anymore, lady. You lost your accent a long time ago. Except after.
can you guys hear the audio?
Am I British? Yeah, your grandma is. Hey,
Yo.
he's just gonna keep going, Daddy?
Hold on, guys.
Daddy, be careful on the road.
It's okay, baby.
And notice cops will not do that. By law, they have to stop. If unless they're in pursuit, they have to stop. So if the guy hits your car and he keeps going with his lights on, something's going down. Oh, hit the wrong button here. Hold on a second. There we go.
What's going on? Nah, man, I don't know anything. It's crazy.
Jerry?
Mhm.
Get back in your car right now! Remain with your
What are we doing?
Okay, now I just want to say for the record that my middle son found that scene to be the most hysterical scene in the movie, where the cop's scolding the poor guy and then he goes flying because the truck hits him. He was dying. And I don't know what messed up sense of humor, but I'm freaking hiding again, YouTube. Yeah. And also to that point, if you guys have seen Fear the Walking Dead, which was a spin-off of The Walking Dead, watch the first 3 episodes, because you see the characters witness cops, firemen, National Guard doing certain things that the public is not doing, right? The public's just going about their business. And there's one scene in particular that the family is in the car, and the wife is like picked up on something, like she knows something's wrong. She's trying to explain to the husband, who's not quite understanding. They're on the radio, and the teenagers look at the cops, and the cops literally come out with cases of water, and they're putting it in each of their trunks of their patrol cars, and they're putting like jerky, like they're literally filling their cars with food. And to Texas View's points, you watch law enforcement, the military, the guardsmen, whoever, your neighbor's a guardsman, you see him walking out really fast and throwing all his shit in his truck and he's out the door. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, but you'll be watching for it. Most of the public won't get it. So yeah, you want to you want to at least stay ahead. Yeah, you want to stay ahead and look for those signs, right? Because think about it, we as a community on YouTube and on other platforms, we notice things, we talk about things weeks, sometimes months before everyone else sees it. And now no, this would be Red October, to your point, this would be a lot more like a 9/11. A very large spontaneous thing happens, and this is what you'll see: people freaking out in traffic and chaos. um Something like the Rona was a very slow moving train wreck, and they unload anything. Yeah. So I will, but yeah, that's a very good point. It depends on the danger, but yeah, And you may not always know, right? You might be listening to the radio and they may not have any freaking clue what's going on. Let's continue with it.
It's our way out of here.
This was a good move on his part because that truck made a path, again, fictitiously speaking. Okay, did you catch all those teenagers in that last scene a few seconds back? They're all videotaping. I don't know if there was traffic and trucks are knocking vehicles off the road. I think my interest in making videos would suddenly go away. I'd be like, that's really ugly. And I don't think I want to be here anymore. I'd be looking for somewhere else to go. Um, yeah, Dominic, absolutely. And again, that's another example. Um, and that one was weird because it was a spontaneous accident, but it took days. They tried to contain it, then they burned it. And to Red October's point earlier, that was kind of between a slow moving disaster and an absolute train wreck, like no pun intended. Like the train had the wreck, and everyone was kind of like, what's going on? And it took about a week for everyone to realize the magnitude of what had just happened, where it really became an issue. Um, the birds died off too. Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely. Birds actually, prior to some of the earthquakes we've had in Texas, uh, or some of the storms, like the hurricanes, the dogs would get very sad, like they knew. And we have one that was barking back at the thunder, like he was like, oh, he's like Simone and Pumbaa and Lion King, like, he wanted to fight the storm. But they started acting weird because they could sense something wasn't right. And the birds got real quiet. They were gone. Mhm. A lot of people weren't. I actually did a short paper on it for a safety briefing in December of 19 saying, look, I'm seeing stuff on Twitter that they're guys in hazmat in what basically Chinese mop gear were pulling people out of their apartments and throwing them in like paddy wagons and taking them away while they were fighting. Like the people clearly didn't want to go. That even for China, that's heavy-handed. Like, why in God's name are they doing this? They were scared. I honestly think they thought the cootie was going to be way worse than it turned out to be, which makes me wonder what the hell were they playing with in that lab when it came out that they knocked out a 10,000 bed hospital in 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of little hints you can pick up.
Maybe it's packed right now. Snuggle with Subway Sam, okay?
Oh, now they're running.
Rachel, baby, you've got to get back in your seat.
See, and that's another thing. Kids will panic if they don't have an understanding. And again, every family's different. My kids were all Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cubs. So they understood the hurricane stuff, right? They understood why we had camping gear. It's like, well, the power goes out. Remember the last hurricane? Yeah. What happened? The power went out. Yep. Ta-da. It wasn't a hard stretch. If kids are exposed to the general mentality of being ready for problems, they're less likely to panic. Clearly, that little girl that's portrayed in the movie, she's freaking out, right? This all, and really up until now, what has she witnessed? They broke her daddy's rearview mirror, and then a truck had an accident. Now dad's driving like a maniac, but the kid's already freaking out. And that's that. And you notice in the public, people are looking until the truck flips over, and then there's a big deal, and then they run. Honestly, I see a truck going through traffic. I'm going to take about 15 seconds to evaluate that shit as to whether that's a one-off thing. And if I can't decide if that's just an unfortunate accident or it's something bigger, I'm gone. I'm going to be going somewhere that is not near whatever the hell just happened. So, but again, yeah. No, and actually being new is cool in one respect because everything you're learning, everything is new, everything is different. And so your learning opportunities are huge. One of the bad thing is, if you do anything, hell, you play golf too long, you start developing bad habits. I'm sure preppers have bad habits too, like, oh, well, I know I always stored that way before. And, we kind of get in our little comfy place. It's a good idea to kick yourself out of that and learn something new. Time 15 years. Yeah. Well, even in the 80s, 90s, I mean, that's when Threads and The Day After came out. And that was a reality. There was a country, the USSR was actively saying, if you do certain things, we're going to drop a nuke on your city. That was a reality kids lived with. Now they cry in Starbucks because they work 7 hours straight. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, and Red has a good point. We're using this science fiction, if you will, to kind of point out, because some of these science fiction writers do their homework, even though it's fictionalized. But yeah, a lot of these things you're going to look at: banks shutting down, food lines, like you saw in Threads. People start protesting. There's a lot of tension. Stores get wiped out. These are, yeah, unfortunately. And actually, Joe, that's not that's the truth. A lot of folks, you have trouble, you have things you have to deal with in life, and there are a lot of kids who don't. Yeah, the kid who worked 6 hours and was crying on TikTok or YouTube or wherever he was, that was a clown kid. But see, this is concerning, and you think about it. I love the way they do that ringing in your ears after a car accident, because that's pretty accurate. Now, what's funny, yeah, unaware of the surroundings, and again, if the kids, thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, so if the kids are freaking out, so here's a scenario, and I know everyone's experienced this. I go to restaurants. I used to bring my kids, and kids are kids, right? They act up and whatnot. It wasn't uncommon for me to pick up an ornery child and go take them to the car and have a conversation with them, or issue a correction as to why we don't behave certain ways, and then come back in with a sniffling child. And now that's how we act. But I can tell you, very early on, my kids were socialized like puppies. They knew, oh, we go to a restaurant, I get French fries. And unless they were sick, they were pretty well behaved. You see other kids freaking out because mommy didn't give them a soda. How do you think those same children are going to act in an emergency, or as teenagers or young adults in public? We're witnessing that now. We're seeing people yelling and spitting at other people. Why would you do that? If I spat at someone growing up, I'd get a punch in the eye. Understanding how your family will react in day-to-day situations will give you a pretty good idea of how they're going to act in an emergency. Not always, right? You might have that surprise kid who's a real pain in the butt and something clicks in their little head and they're on their game in an emergency. But again, those kids who are freaking out all the time because their iPad ran out of power and the mommy wouldn't buy them the new game app on their phone, that's going to be a problem. Karens and Darrens. No, you just have to hide long enough for the zombies to get all of them, and then you're good. You're golden. Yeah, and actually, you know, it's funny. Originally, they were little detonators, like really tiny ones. I've actually seen them. To my mom to move to Saratoga. See, and I don't know what the conversation is. That was just, hey, you know what? If it's legal and you're not driving and hitting people, it's there's way worse things people are taking. You're not biting people like the meth heads that I've had to deal with. That's always exciting. Yeah. See, you have that. What shall we say? You have the benefits of living in a city because you're closer to hospitals, closer to amenities, but you're closer to more people, which means more problems. Yeah, I can see that. Make sure your vehicle can handle the weight. I've actually seen someone, they tried to customize a vehicle and they didn't do it right, and the shocks went out on them, which was funny to witness, but we have the, yeah. And you know, it's funny because if you set the example and you set the ground rules and it's consistent, you don't battle. I mean, I would go out. There were many times I would go out with my kids and their friends, and at the end of the night, my kids would be like, I don't want to be his friend anymore because he wouldn't behave. Like my kids got annoyed with the other kid because the kid was carrying on the whole time. Um, so yeah, but again, this video, wait, most people don't know where the systems bring. They are, and they're unaware that there's even problems. Yeah, it's your car doors are limited protection, uh, depending on what you're being fired at with. But you see, that could have, imagine if the child got a broken leg in this scene. Now you have a catastrophe, right? You're in the middle of, and they're not even sure what they're in the middle of.
Everybody out of the car.
And see, that could have easily wound up broken leg, concussion. Someone could have flown through the windshield if the kids didn't have seatbelts on. So, again, having your family understand how to behave, uh, it makes a big difference. So we'll finish up this scene. Again, I'm commenting more than I wanted to. I wanted to let us watch the scene and then talk about it, but uh, they already got after me once, so we'll try and avoid that a second time. It's also a bad sign when the cops are clueless.
Okay, you have to climb over on it. Get out! Come on, honey. Come on.
Sweetheart, are you okay?
By the way, to someone's point earlier, if the cops are running away, what are you standing there for watching the cop run away? You should be gone. Uh, yeah. Uh, for that. Okay, I've actually seen someone convert one of those into a camper. Probably saved them money considering how expensive some campers are. But Yeah, this is World War Z. So Brad Pitt, I forgot the lady's name. Brad Pitt was the big star in it, and this is part of the beginning of the catastrophe as these things, as the monsters start showing up. But you notice you have all these incidents, car accidents, police are hitting vehicles, people getting yelled at, they're running up and down the street. Nobody really knows what's going on, and this guy is supposed to be like, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and health. But again, in this scene, had that little girl broken her leg, right? Because she was loose in the back seat. How bad would that have been for these characters in this fictitious situation, right? Now you have a kid who's not mobile, and you'll see real quick here. I mean, besides the monster. Okay, did you see that? That dude was just sitting there in the back seat of an Uber. Like, that's a pendejo. Look, if there are people running around and tactical teams are in the broad daylight in the street yelling at people to get off the street, and my driver just ran off, why am I still in the back of an Uber? So again, but that leads, we talked about that. That's some of those people who will just freak out and they'll just lock up. They won't react. Also, like, let's say I'm that businessman, right? I'm not going to sit there. I've got EDC in my backpack. I'll leave my damn luggage, or I'll go into my luggage real quick, pull whatever extras I need. I'm gone. I'm going to be on foot. My driver just ran away. The cops are running away. Something's obviously amiss. But I'll bet you in any emergency, you're going to see people like that. They're just going to do. And they're not going to move. I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was kind of comical. I also don't understand why he's not driving the van he's in.
Here comes the number 12 train. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
7.
It is.
8, 9, 10.
Definitely.
11, 12. Trains in the station.
Okay, now obviously a fictitious scenario, right? He has the little guy, Subway Sam, and he's counting down. But you notice what he does. The character turns around and he's counting down in his head while he's watching the phenomenon. And what he just did, he gave himself intelligence, right? Real-time intel. When people get bit by one of these people, in about 12 seconds, he becomes one of those things, and then he attacks other folks. Granted, fictitious, but if you're out there, something's going on. Don't just take it and blankly try to put numbers to it, right? Again, this is information. You're like, okay, that truck came from the south and hit this guy. What's going on in the south that the truck lost control? Why are the cops going toward where the truck came from? What happened over there? You start putting pieces together. The derailment, you start looking at the cloud. If your internet's still working, get on the computer. What was that train carrying? What normally goes on that line? If I lived near that close to a train, I'd probably already know. But again, you also gotta, yeah, you just have to run faster than the person behind you. Yeah, and don't sit in an Uber like this. These dummies, watch, the dummies are gonna be screwed now because watch. Like, why are they still in the? I don't know why the RV abandoned this car, but he did. And off they go. Also, something weird like that is happening. You probably, oh no, I got busted again. Doggone it. So, did they tell me to quit it? Anyway, all right, well, you guys get the picture. Well, let me know if you see me come back on. Base turds. And I just got here. Yeah, it's a couple of bursts, then you're empty. Yeah. They'll probably email me and say, hey, you're not supposed to do that. But in any case, all right, so I guess we can't. That's sucky. Still not back yet. Oh, hey, I guess I came back, huh? Yep. All right, well, that sucks. In any case, boy, they make it really hard to like have a educational conversation around some of this stuff. But anyway, to my point, you know, driving the vehicles, that kid could have gotten hurt because the child panicked, partly because they probably had never been exposed to, hey, wear your seatbelt, don't take your seatbelt off. You know, people and the people in the back of the Uber, that I don't understand, right? They're just sitting there. The driver clearly has run away and they just sat there. And again, there are going to be people who are going to lock up in an emergency. But I thought that would be fun. Unfortunately, I got dinged twice now, so I'm curious now. Gotta go start dinner. Yeah, same here. I'm gonna go start cooking here in a minute. But I highly encourage you guys watch Threads, and if you can watch World War Z. You should be able to stream it on YouTube. You just apparently can't share it in a live stream because you get busted. Hey, Mad Dogs, what's going on? But yeah, I'm between taco and pasta. I'm like all over the map with dinner tonight. But folks, be safe out there and have a little fun. Watch a good scary movie and then ask yourself, okay, if I was there, what would I do? Obviously, if it's like, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the guy with the chainsaw run away, duh. But stuff like this, maybe not zombies, maybe it's a train derailment, but you're right next to it. What do? Do you sit there in the Uber while your driver runs away? No, you grab your shit and run away. But in any case, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Mad Dog. No, it's all good. They clearly didn't give me a complete strike or I wouldn't be talking right now. So that was one of those. And watch Fear the Walking Dead, which is a spin-off of that series, because that one, The Walking Dead starts with Rick coming out of the hospital and everything's already happened. Fear the Walking Dead is actually from day 0 and goes into the whole collapse. And I thought that one was much more interesting to me. And eventually became another version of The Walking Dead. But watching the way they portrayed, and it was a very slow moving disaster until it wasn't. So, but in any case, yeah. So, grab some popcorn. Somebody was making tacos. Now I want to make tacos. I got defrosted beef that I froze a year ago in my vacuum sealer, and I'm thawing it now. So I'm either going to make tacos or spaghetti. I haven't decided yet. But folks, in any case, the Negans will be worse, yeah, for sure. But yeah, folks, go watch some movies, have some fun. If you have kids who are old enough to watch like World War Z, this is a great time to put the movie on and go, hey, what if you were driving? What would you do? Do you see that guy just freaked out and he's sitting there in the back of the Uber? What do you think you should have done? Just poke your kids, ask them, and get them thinking a little bit. Anyway, I think Mad Shad comes on here in a little bit. I don't know who else comes on tonight. This is not my normal time. I just kind of popped on. So, but I know Mad Shad's later. I don't know who else is on today. But yeah, there's a few more channels coming on tonight. I just kind of popped out of nowhere. So have a little fun while you're learning, right? It's not always panic and serious stuff. Inspired spaghetti tacos, yes. Matt, Shad, do you come on at 5 or I don't know what time it is? But in any case, you come on at 7. Texas Views may go on after Shad, so keep an eye out. Everyone's schedules are screwed up the last few weeks because everyone's got new jobs and things are reopening and whatnot. So do the best you can. Go have dinner, break open a beer if you choose to partake of one, and watch some zombies, and then ask yourself, what would I do if the zombie showed up? It's fictitious, but it's not wrong. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, be good, be safe, God bless. And I will see you next time. And hopefully I won't get a bunch of angry penalty boxes from the damn YouTube. So you guys be good. Take care of yourselves out there.